Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Gonna do a comfy cozy stream of some Fields of Mysteria. This will be my third day playing it. I'm not sure what year we're in yet. Let me look. I mean, we're still in year one, but I think did we make it to summer yet? We might still be in spring. We are taking our time, but that's okay. Yeah, spring 17, so that's where we're at. Spring day 17. Oh, why isn't that capturing? There it goes. So, hopefully, we'll make it to summer today. But yes, hope catching or catching Pokemon. Togetic. There you go. I'll catch Togetic. See. Check. Alright, we're good. I think. Do this as I'm sitting here letting time pass because I'm not getting right out of bed. Sounds about right. You know, sounds like something I would do in real life too. So, okay, we gotta turn that bug in. We're still collecting those things. We gotta collect some bugs. What do we gotta do? We're collecting the flowers, and we're trying to find a caterpillar. So let's just go do those things. Let's hunt for caterpillars and such. Oh, never mind. Getting your drift. I'm here to pick up all the breath of spring you collected so that we can start the final count. Oh, okay. I don't have that much, but take it. Okay, I've got to run. Hope to see you at the festival. Oh, the festival's today, I bet. I bet the festival's today. Should we order the lance, or do we just want to skip it since we've already, taken so long? We should probably order them. Is it gonna rain tomorrow, though? Sunny and clear. I like that I never have to fill out the watering pail, and yet there's a well on the farm. I find that so interesting. Kinda makes me wish I would have planted more seeds in spring, but oh well. Vanilla, you can learn to build one too. You can build a well? Sweet. Are you liking? I bet you played this game a lot, haven't you? Do you love it? Trying to go catch a caterpillar. Hiya, hiya, hiya! Yes. Hello. I started playing it right now. That's fair. So if I have questions, yes, I'm obsessed. So if I have questions, I should ask you, because you know everything, right? You're the wise and all-knowing woman. I wish I had multiplayer too. Me too. I don't know about everything. Oh, there's a butterfly. I'm pretty sure I've already caught that one before, though. And what we're looking for is a caterpillar. Maybe most everything. I mean, you have got some hours in it, probably. This is only the third time I've picked it up, so I definitely don't have as many hours as you. I'm trying to only play it when I'm live, if that makes sense. I got Stardew, I can play it when I'm not live. And then... oh, looks like they're getting ready for the festival. There we go, we can go in. Oh, geez. Let's not skip, because we've never done it before. 3 people who turned in the most Breath of the Wild flowers. Oh, it's definitely not gonna be me. Oh, it is me, 3rd place. I wasn't trying. Errol. 1st place would be Lemon. If you were here. Celine. She cheated. She took some of everybody's flowers. Oh, not in the 1st year. So yeah, you're already in year 2, aren't you? How far in year 2 are you? Oh, I got a prize. Kind of glad I didn't get 1st place because everybody probably gets a different prize. Yeah. There's my prize. That's cool. So can I buy stuff? Oh, I'm not buying any of that stuff. That's like the one I won. Basket and Scent of Spring. Summer 23. Year 2, trying to get everything as perfect as possible before the release. More content. Oh, when do you think that'll be? I've heard some people have kind of stopped until there's more content already. We're just gonna bug hunt. I mean, I could work on upgrading weapons and such. I hope soon. I figured as much money as possible and bring everyone up to 4 heart levels. Oh my gosh. You have been busy. That's a questionable item. A drinking horn? Oh, okay. We found a drinking horn. What else can we find that we need to donate? Oh. Yeah, I haven't really tried romancing or friendship leveling anybody yet. Not really. I haven't figured out who I want to concentrate on. Did you figure out who you're romancing to be a couple with? Oh, there's blueberries. Those are new. I wanna go that way. You can't go that way. I hadn't seen the blueberries before. And if I remember right, can I cut this with my sword? I can. I just don't usually have my sword on me because my inventory is usually too full. I hate that you can't chop it all down and it like leaves sprigs. I want it all gone. March all the way. Right? That little blushy face when he's in the bar because he can't hold back his actual feelings. A bit of Sam Sebastian dynamic, yes. I love the little blushy face he makes. Listen, we love sun drinking. Oh, I already got that bug too. And I'm running out of inventory space, so I need to wait. How hard is it to find a caterpillar when somebody wants a caterpillar? apparently it's really hard to find a caterpillar. I forgot you can shake trees and such. I don't think a caterpillar is gonna fall out of a tree though. They sometimes drop out of trees. What? Really? The caterpillars? Oh. More luck breaking rocks and they'll be underneath. Oh! Didn't even think about that. Okay. But now my inventory's full, so I'm gonna go empty it. We're just gonna pluck everything. Leave it laying around. The beach. I don't have any room to pick up stuff. Can I jump here? No. I wonder if I can jump there later. I definitely get turned around about where I'm at. Like, where's my house? Not there. Okay. Right, from Sweetwater. I don't even know what the names... you know me, I'm directionally challenged, so I'm just like... And then I can just go down. I love Henrietta. Let's see. Henrietta is the best, though apparently she has beef with Dozy, which makes me conflicted. Oh. Interesting. Wonder what her beef with Dozy is. And then we're just gonna leave the rocks laying around because I think they'll just do their thing. And I can pick them up in a minute. Let's see. Blueberries are new. We don't have any of those. Imagine some of that stuff I should have kept, but that's okay. Now I'm curious about Dozy. How could a chicken have beef with Dozy? Okay, so we're gonna put the food stuff back in this one. Actually, do the blueberries need to go in there? No. And then the flower thing, can we just stick that somewhere? Probably not by the fireplace. There. You wish you knew. I wonder if I'm gonna find caterpillars under rocks at night. I like that I still had time after going to the festival. Poke catch, guys, if you're catching Pokemon. Late? What do you mean it's getting late? I don't know what you're talking about. Right? And you can give people things at the festival? What? I didn't know that. Oops. Oh well, now I know to bring lots of gifts to the festival to give away. I feel like this is my chance to clean up a little bit. Although by the time I do, I feel like it'll be a mess again. The bar on Friday's market, Saturdays are the other best time. Oh, yeah. Didn't think about Fridays. Oh! I paid attention to time. Oh well. At least that was on my farm, right? It's like, I got time. I'm on the farm. I can just, like, do whatever. It's fine. You do like that you don't lose money? Yeah, that's nice. You just sleep in. Repair the mill. Man, these people make me work hard, don't they? Ouch. I guess I should go talk to people and turn in stuff. Maybe I'll find that crazy caterpillar. I always pick up everything, and I feel like I spend most of my time doing that because I just want to pick up everything. Ooh. A shard thingamajiggy. You can turn that in. Anything down there? Nope. Nothing here. Oh, I forgot you can pick these up too. Not that. These. It took me a while to realize you can pick up the chestnuts. Same, everything comes in handy for cooking and crafts. I know. I would make it nowhere if I picked up everything. Okay, B, I don't need you. Could sell your little butt, but I really don't need you. You're not the caterpillar I'm looking for. What is he doing? I'm not even asking. Oop. More ancient coins. A royal scepter. And alright, let's turn some of this stuff in. You unlocked a new reward. Ooh. I only found one of those. Jeez. I don't think I'm gonna get the spring insects done. There's like one butterfly I'm missing. And I definitely am not gonna get fishing done. Fishing is 0%. Ancient artifacts, prehistoric artifacts. There's so many artifacts to find. Oh, spring crops. Terrible. Those are probably things I was supposed to have grown. That I didn't grow. Apparently I only grew turnips and potatoes. And there's foraging items I haven't found, which makes me really curious. I'm always curious about the foraging items, because then I'm like, there's something I haven't touched yet that I don't know what it is. I probably walk past those two things all the time. One of those looks like a lot like fiber, so it's easy to miss. Oh. Okay. So like this kind of stuff. But it's not.
Special.
No! It's Momo! So it's like fiber, but it's not fiber. Momo, you're special. That means I'm just gonna like have to hit stuff. So do I have a hat? Yeah, I can unlock the hat. Oh, that gives me another inventory spot. And, those are definitely fiber, so... Yep, you can pick it up like every other forageable. Interesting. I wonder where it's located and what it looks like. It's not the bushes. Hi, Momo! How are you doing? I hope you're doing well, lovely. I'm just gonna like start whacking everything. And of course I haven't fished. I got all these things in here. Oh, geez. Recipe for fish skewers. And a recipe for stone chests. And oh, is that what that is? A stone chest? Oh, place furniture? Yeah. Can I put stuff in it? Request for berries. Wild berries. I can do berries. I had good luck in the narrow eastern woods, but it's not one set location. Okay. So I'm guessing it's gonna look a little different than these standard plants, though. It's giving me all the regular fiber stuff. Even though I hit them and then that's not gonna be it, because that's just a weird bush thing. Yeah, you can't slash it like fiber, unfortunately. Oh, you can't? You have to chop it? Doing okay, how about you? Pretty good. Does that mean I have to have an axe? Oh, I can't chop those guys down. Oh no. It'll just give you the option to pick it up. Oh. Here I am gonna start smashing everything. Hold on. Oh, that was to read. Yeah, I'm just gonna like run up to everything and like hope it tells me to, you know, hit the E key. Randall! Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the team. Oh well. We'll look another day. I have not seen this odd, peculiar plant. And then apparently, you know, one of those other foraging items, who knows? I'm just like, what am I missing? Maybe it's like, just like an acorn or something. I'm trying to keep an eye out too. I appreciate it. Because I'm definitely missing two things and I don't know what they are. Asleep. But hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you guys being here. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday evening or morning, wherever you are. A wild, drowsy polecat. Need more drink. I'm out. I'm even watching the screen that's scrolling to see if I recognize a different kind of plant. All I see is grass. Alright, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a drink. I'll be right back. Momo's in charge. Good luck, Momo. Cricket noises make you sleepy. Drowsy has been caught. I caught it. Oh. See if I can do it. Hold on. You're special. Let's see if she's listening. Trying to do the random hug of the day. There we go. Cookies. Add lemon. You get 1,500 cookies because it took me 3 tries. Congrats, you get all the cookies. Now we'll go into the next day. See what's going on here. Friday night at the inn. Yes! Cookies and hugs. Oh, hell yeah. It's my lucky day. This does sound like a good day. I don't know how much stuff to keep and how much to sell. It's like, ugh. I'm sure I have some of all this stuff, so I'm just gonna like keep selling it unless I need it for the thing. And that stone storage chest. This one's cool. Cookie crumbs. Lick. Oh my. Okay, we're just gonna put this... Can I rotate it? Nope. Do I just put stuff in it? Oh, I do! It's just another chest to put stuff in. Now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna put in that one. Jeez. Okay. Well, we'll move it over here next to this one, because I don't know. We'll just divide up our stuff into another category. For now, but wood and stone sound good? I sold everything at first so I could afford to buy seats. It's probably smart. Hi, Snappy! Hiya. Welcome to the stream. And here I go, once again, avoiding the people that I need to talk to for the sake of finding these crazy little things that I need to find. That was a flying bug. What kind of bug was that? Oh, it's gone now. It's not the butterfly I need. Ooh! I think I found it! Yay! I found the nettle. Okay. There's still one other thing I gotta find, though. I don't even... And thank you for your help with that, Lemon. I would have had no idea. But I don't know what it looks like, the thing I'm looking for, so... Nick Dolphy! Thank you for the lurk! Thank you! Yeah. Oh! Is that a caterpillar? No, that's a roly-poly. I already had a roly-poly. I need a caterpillar. I want me to tell you I can, but don't want to spoil it if you don't want to. Okay. Well, if it gets down like to the end of spring and I still can't find it, I'll ask. How's that sound? Because it's like, I still have a bit of time left. I could possibly discover it still. I kind of want you to tell me, but then I'm like, nah, let's not. Although it was kind of nice just to find what I was looking for. It's like, oh no. Dang things. I wish I could pick these turnips. Cave entrance. It'll be obvious when you find it if that helps. Oh, good. I wonder if it's like something I found already and I just didn't even turn in. Ancient horn. I almost missed these dig spots. It makes me wonder how many I just walk right past and I don't even see. See, it's that thing. It's gotta be something green. Actually, it is not green. Oh, wow. Like, everything in that row is green. Oh, there's the caterpillar. He's in town, of all things. Who do I give the caterpillar to again? Okay. Luke. So I'll probably just be in your way, too. I didn't shake those trees. Those are weird looking trees. Michigan! Hello! Welcome! Welcome to the team. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see. See, I want to dig these spots. Guess they're just cracks in the sidewalk. We're supposed to go to the bar. Copper ingot. Copper is expensive. Can we just give that away? No prizes. Okay, so a little hat, farmer hat. I still like my hat. The lick. Thank you for the lick. Oh, there's the person I need to talk to. Caterpillar. Ooh. Rice cake. Rice ball. I want it. Onigiri. Okay, so I'm supposed to go talk to the kids, I think. I could give people berries, though. There. And give. Give. I'm hoping it's like other games where giving people fruit is pretty much generally accepted. Just save all my berries for Friday. I don't think I gave this little guy any. Why would anyone want this? He hated it. Of course he did. So March does not like berries. Oh. Hook catch. Alright, let's see what the kids are plotting. No cheese and potatoes on the menu. If we need Mr. Ballard to be asleep, I say we strike at dawn. He'll be in his room, he'll be so mad. That leaves us up to the professionals. Oh, jeez. Troublemakers. So I wonder if the pictures over their head is what they like. So like, because they keep showing stuff above their heads. He likes chickens. Am I supposed to give him eggs? Momo stretch freak. Thank you, Momo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's see. But that means you have to be in charge again. So. You know that, right? Sunday stretches? Yeah. I think I'm going to grab some pretzels. Yeah, I put you in charge last time I left, but I don't think you heard me. I just took a stretch break. I'll be right back again. Actually, before I fall asleep in town, I need to hit escape and stop the clock. You're special. You're special. I didn't get to hear it, thank goodness. Nico, Nico, nee. Okay, time to talk. Oh, Michigan spamming. Gonna get in trouble. Just kidding. Jump scare you. Yeah, I went out of range to go to the kitchen. Doubles of trouble. I have these, by the way, if you're curious. Flat pretzels. They're good. What's my snack? I wish I had some cheese to go with it. That'd be so good. Yeah. That one's broken, but yeah. They're like this and flat pretzels. They're good. Maybe I should go to the mine. You know, when I wake up. And then the purple one is food, so maybe I put flowers in the other one. No, we do that. We leave like yeah, that looks good. We'll take the wood and the rocks. Kind of take the seeds out too. And make this one food. Food. And then we should water things in the morning. I feel like I have like an hour left, but then I'll forget what I'm doing. Trouble on the double. What's that? Oh, nice. Ah, y'all woke up and decided to do things today. Yeah, barely. I really just went to sleep all day. And then I was like, I could sleep all day, but then I'm not gonna be able to sleep all night. I don't know. But I don't sleep at night anyway, so let's be real. Not on Sunday nights. Saturday market. Hmm. Sounds like I'm making it, but don't I have to give somebody one of these? I can give somebody one of these. Who needed one of those? And did they just need one? It's Valor. Another caterpillar. Now that I don't need one. I don't need this guy either, but I'm gonna catch him. I don't see Valor here. Oh! Have you thought about dyeing your hair, Mono? I mean, my hair is pink. That's how you get recipes you don't have. All the furniture. How to make furniture. And oh, I wonder if that's what I gotta find, a lily pad with a flower. How much you want to bet it is? That's a hat. Oh yeah, so I gotta get this block too. Where is he at? It says he's in town. There he is. Michigan! Snack, 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 yeah. I got all the... I ate all the pretzels I poured out of the bag, right? Can I do it? Apparently I can't pick up water lilies. I'm trying. A wild dust skull appeared. And I'm missing a butterfly, but there's another caterpillar. Jeez. Oh, is that the one I'm missing? Nope. That is not the butterfly I'm missing. This call need. Oh. Poke check, poke catch. No one caught it? That's rude. It needs to come back. Like, I wonder if it's like a cave carrot or something. I could find in spring or something weird. You guys need better balls. Probably. Supersonic Hydra Ultra. Oh no, you tried to catch it after it escaped? Or it was just like you just made up a ball and it did that. Never mind. That's funny though. I didn't bring any food with me. Can I catch that? Oh, that's just a thingamajig. Oh, there's the ladder the whole time. Monster core. Nice. I don't want to hurt the mushroom. I want to be friends with it. But I can't, I guess. I gotta wait until it comes back up. Monster powder. There's another baddie up here too, and I didn't bring any food. Monster Fang. Oop. Is that a dig spot? Ooh, it is. I can dig on little X's on the ground. I didn't realize that. So there's like artifact spots too. That's cool. Ooh. Miner's pickaxe. I really wish I bought raw food with. I'm pretty sure I can't eat bugs. And then I don't see a staircase down anywhere. There it is. There's a flower. Shadow flower. That might be the thing I need. I don't know. Oh no. Oh. Can't deal with that thing right now. Gonna have my sword ready when I go down here. Oh yeah, we're leaving. I don't have enough energy to fight those guys. Can I give myself more shielding? I don't know. Mining, combat, shield guardian. I can't do it till level 15. Oh, okay, so I already gave myself max of all that stuff. I just gotta bring food with me. Oh. Can't do the decorative ones. They can't chop up decorative stones, apparently. Donate. Flower thing. Donate. Does it count? Oh, it's still an upper mine forging set. That's not the thing I need. Dang it. I was hoping it was, though. And so what is this used for then? Powder core sometimes for crafting, okay. Crafting. Da, 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 da. So we're getting all the crafting things now. Going to chill with Tex. Everyone have a great evening. You too, Michigan. Tell Tex I said hi. Did you have a stream yesterday? I did Friday. Fridays and Sundays. Tex said hi back, okay. But yeah, Fridays and Sundays, and if I can add a surprise one in there, here and there, I do. Just depends. With work and all. Work usually keeps me too busy. So the thing I'm looking for is for spring, and it's not plant-based. I wonder if it could be like down here on the beach, even. The sand bug. I didn't know we had sand bugs. Oh, there's a thing on the beach that we can dig up. Oh no, it's getting late. We gotta head back. Just looking. I don't see anything. Gotta head back to the farm. I'm gonna get lost. I can never remember which way it is from here. It's to the right, I think. Yeah, there we go. Why am I trapped? Can't get past my own weeds. Run! Run! Get to bed! There you go. Oi. I hope everybody is doing well. Gonna get me some more pretzels. But yeah, it's Stream Friday and then Sundays, and I wish I could figure out how to get 3 streams a week back in, but I haven't really done that. Unless I have a lot of time off. This looks birthday. All right. I wonder if I ever need the shells for anything. For now, I'm gonna assume no. Because they don't say crafting. These flowers do, though. Seems like you gotta keep all the... I haven't found any more of those, even though they say crafting. And this... that one has to go to the thing. Now, I've yet to find the bug I need, though. And whatever this mysterious spring item is. Hmm. I feel like I have to collect everything because I can sell it for money or use it in cooking later. To make myself some meals to survive. What is that? Soft silky wool from alpacas. I'm here, time to end. Yep. Totally. Artist is here, run away. Run away! See, I already have that one, but I'll catch another, just and sell it. Why do they look heated? They look like they're in a heated conversation. I'm not gonna interrupt. This is not the office. This is the dining room. Where's the office? Those are like bedrooms, I think, right? Where's she at? Says she's here. Am I missing a doorway or something? Oh, there she is. Dang it. No. So she's not in her office now. So I can't talk to her about the thing. And she won't talk to me about the thing unless she's in her office. Ay. Where the heck was the office? Oh, okay, now I know. Oh. She just teleported. Explain to me. $1,000 Is it the coins? So I gotta get all of the wood, the stone, and the copper, right? Mm-hmm. And the funds? I'm getting voluntold to do all this work. I'm not sure how this is fair. So they need a lot of stuff. See? All that is on me. Mm-hmm. Should chop down the tree in town. That's how angry she is. She's just like, I'm just gonna chop down the tree in town. They want wood? I'll get them some wood. It'd be funny if somebody went, whoa, what are you doing that for, like, right now? Weird. Through berries. I can't do that. You can throw berries at people. Take my berries. Do that. Oh my gosh, I'm having too much fun now. First I chop down trees in town, then I throw berries at people. I'm just gonna chop all this down. Don't I know how to use the kitchen now to craft stuff? Can't I craft stuff with berries? Make something to eat. To restore my energy. I love how this game gives you the option to be like salty about all the stuff you have to do. Let's go see. There's a berry. But yeah, let's go back to the kitchen and see about cooking stuff. And what all that entails. Because I feel like I'm gonna use up a lot of energy getting all this wood and stone. How do I cook stuff? Snacks, salads, soups. I know all kinds of things. It looks like I can make a snack already. With berries and water chestnuts. Oh, it pulls it straight out of my chest at the house? What the heck? I don't even have to bring it with? That's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. So you don't have to like carry it with you to the kitchen. Well, let's go ahead and get my cooking to like level 4 real quick. Maybe I should have multiplied the number of snacks I'm making. Oh, there it goes, level 2. So, can I increase them? I wonder if you can pass out cooking. And I want to level up again, so... Yay! Level 4! Wait. Oh, try not to sneeze on you guys. Okay. Now that we know we can do that. Oh, we could have made that too. Oh, look. Oh, processed bag of wheat. Frequently used for baking. Oh. Cool. Fishies, bread, potato. Baked potato? So just by cooking the potato, it increases. Potatoes are worth so much energy! I need potatoes in my life. I should have grown a ton of them. All the milk we don't have anymore. Yep, potatoes are the way to go. Alright. Pew. And then... So I can eat this, right? And it helps just a tiny bit. Not a lot. Full catch! So those snacks aren't really worth... they kind of are. They help with the energy some, but I don't know. Definitely need better energy things like potatoes or something. Kind of funny how there's stumps everywhere when I don't remember chopping down these trees and leaving stumps. I don't like to leave stumps behind. Finette, did it call? Oh, I caught a shiny one. That's like the second shiny I've ever caught. That's so cool. So I got a little energy orb up there. That those happen when you do stuff, but I guess I didn't stand close enough to it to collect it. Wonder if you get like collection rings later to help you collect stuff. Yeah. It's getting late, I know. Da, 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 da. I feel like picking up stuff is like an infinite thing. Alright, I'm gonna go in here. Fiber, bug, bee, bug, flower, not flower. Okay, we'll keep the other stuff. That's cool how that worked though, because it definitely grabbed the berries from that chest. And then... Okay. So how much wood do we have now? We don't have enough of either one, I don't think. It's like 150 and 200. Potatoes! I wish I would have grew more of you. Grow all the potatoes you can. Yeah. 150 wood, 200 stone. So we're getting closer to the wood. And then I guess we just have to go make. Which I don't even know if I want to carry those with, because we just need to go to the mine. Anyway, to get stone. Wood, we're so close. So I guess we're going mining. Because there's so many things in there we haven't discovered yet. And yeah, let's do that. Let's go mining. Even though I have no food, I always go to the mine and have nothing to stabilize my life. Well, there's a bug. Catch it, ladybug. Don't think I has the ladybug yet. That one I need to keep. Already turned it in. Well, in that case, we're gonna just put you right in here before we leave. For safekeeping. Yeah. Safekeeping. Then chicka. See what he says. Have you ever raised a cow? Not yet. What kind of bug is that? Praying mantis. Not what I need. There's another butterfly I don't need. I need to go back down the other way though. Or can I don't think I can go over any further. Now that I think about it. We're in the ruins area. We're in the beach area, actually. Oops. Any more shells on the beach? Ooh, I don't have one of those. $1. There's a diggy spot. And a mystery thing. Can we go in the lighthouse? Oh, the door's locked. That's cool though. Oh. There's a doohickey. Since those were used for food, we'll grab a couple of those. There's a red bird. There's the mine. I want to go there, but and we can go this way. We haven't really gone over there. She didn't let me by. She's like, no, you can't go that way. So many of those shard thingies. Okay, we gotta go back this way. To the museum and then back to the mine. Well, there's a bug. We don't have that one. Orchid mantis. Ooh. Okay. Donate. So we found one rare insect. A summer insect on the beach already? No, it's not summer yet? Interesting. Ah, that's when he finally tells you about the bubbles in the ground, even though we've already been told about those. Let's see. I think we're good. We don't have stuff for food, but that's okay. And I don't see anything that's gonna be helpful to us right here either. Too bad you can't find like food in those barrels in the mines. Ooh, a purple bug. Funnel millipede. How many does it take before the ladder opens up? To go down. There it is. I'm not a fan of these guys. Wow, there's so many. It's gonna be a fun time. Why? Why? You can't hit him when he's confused. I don't like that it forces you to walk forward and run into them as you're swinging. Ooh. Chunk of pure copper. I don't want to deal with these guys. I need that rock, though. Ooh. He's vicious. Oh no, my health. Yeah, we'll just leave. Sadly. I just don't have anything to compete with them yet. And there's lots of stuff in here. The music is definitely different in the mines. I don't feel like being murdered. See, I can't jump there either, can I? Nope. I can't jump around the corner. I wonder if I'm getting close to 200 stone. At least. The lantern thing. Pretty sure he can go where he wants. I have so little health, but I kind of want to see what these things are about and how hard they are. Oh god, yeah, no. We can't fight them. Oh, catch. I wish that was a thing, that I could totally just fight them, but I can't. I don't have the ability. There we go. Oh, it's my inventory full? Wow. Is there anything I could throw away? No. It's okay. I can come back later, though. And grab it. Of course. And then we can go donate the new things we found real quick. That frees up space. Let's see. Donate. Donate. Medals of Mistria set. Upper Mines insect set. Interesting. Oh, another bug. Catch all the bugs. Although I'm pretty sure they're not as valuable as the plants and stuff. All the cherries. Or wild berries. We couldn't reach the cherries. I wonder if that's the fruit we're missing, is the cherries that we couldn't reach. I saw cherries somewhere. And we couldn't reach them. And maybe it's because we haven't unlocked that area yet. I remember seeing it. I don't remember exactly where, though. But I'm pretty sure we couldn't get to them yet. See, I want to dig all those spots. Is that the butterfly I'm missing? I don't think I have that one. I don't think I can get to that one, though. How rude! That's where I can't get to it. I think that's the one I need. Come over here, little butterfly. See? And now it's up there, and I can't get it. I'm pretty sure that's the one I'm missing. Whatever it is, maybe it's a moth, but I can't get it. That's so annoying. Good night, Mono and chat and lovelies. Good night, Momo. Get some sleep. Sleep well. My character needs to sleep too before she passes out. Have a good stream. Thank you. Have a good sleeps. I'll probably sleep in a little bit. A little bit. Oh, I forgot to go to the board. We had all kinds of money sitting there waiting for us, probably. Momo! Yep, Momo's leaving us. Store item? So you can store it directly? Interesting. See, can I just like shift click and Q click, and see, I wish I could just tell it to put everything in the same item over there. Run! It's been a day of not knowing. Pew pew. Uh-oh. Not knowing about humans and things and stuff. Sweet dreams later, everyone. Okay. Oh, none of that stuff. That doesn't get me 200, and that doesn't get me the other I need. That's used for crafting too, right? And that's... it makes a unique gift. Ooh. I wonder who likes that. Cooking and crafting. I think we had the plants somewhere else though. The bugs we can sell. It's not really food, but yeah. Okay. Do you actually have to water all your plants, or will they just grow anyway? Because I am terrible about watering them. Let's bring all that with. I wonder if they die if you don't water them. That's cool. Quick store item. Flowers, so that one I can just go. That's cool that you can quick store without even opening the chest. You just like hit the button and put it in there if you're hovering over that item. So she needs a lot of stuff, but we don't have the quantity of any of the things yet. Wiggles! Happy Sunday, hope you're doing well. I am, thank you. I hope you are as well. I hope you're doing good too. And let's see. More trees. So my check liver light is currently blinking. Oh no, that sounds like a problem. I have never heard anyone phrase it that way before. I want to know where this other item is. I still have yet to find a spring plant item. And I'm running out of days. I'm still wondering if it's like somewhere up high that I haven't been yet. That I can't really reach. And we tried swimming. Find it. There's a blueberry. Is that like the only blueberry bush on the entire farm? I bet it's something like that, just something rare, like the blueberries. Just one rare plant that I'm missing in an area I haven't been yet. Both of our very good friends had a wedding yesterday and we had a blast, but paying for it today, oh no. Sounds like a good time, but definitely can understand. Sounds like you're trying to take it easy today. Can't chop that one. Decorative log. And then I feel like... See, there's a cherry tree up there. But I can't get up there. I'm wondering if that's the other fruit this time of year, though. And I have to upgrade my axe enough to get to that fruit. Oh, I don't. Let me destroy it. Then I get to go get it. That was the other fruit. Yes. That is the other fruit. Thank goodness. Oh, now there's like a wall with stuff. Oh, look, I got seeds. Tulip seeds. Nice. Covered in giant impassable vines. Ooh. There's another blueberry bush. For sure. I want to go up there. What does this water do? Clear water fills the fountain. Drink some. Yeah. It gives me health? Can I drink more? No? Well now, and I'm not gonna chop down the cherry tree. I should have trusted my gut about the cherry tree a while back and come back up here and checked again. But I did not realize my pickaxe was at a level that I could do it. And that would be the item indeed that I was missing. I'm pretty sure it's the item I was missing. It is. There we go. Poke catch! Pokemons, if you catch Pokemons. Oh, that's for crafting wood things. I don't need to craft wood things. I need to craft metal things. I need to craft metal things, and I need to go to the museum. There's the metal things. I need to make those. Time passes when you're crafting. Ooh. just do 3. It's only an hour. Okay. Because that's all we brought with anyway. Oh. Wow, I have to pick them up? Oh, I don't have any inventory space. We'll trash the acorn. And then what was this other thing we got? A lustrous, a sapphire. Nice. Let's see. I bet he likes ingots. I'll turn this into something pretty nice. We know what he likes. Give you medals that he can work with. That tough guy face. Oh, there's more sapphires in those blue ones. Now I know. I wonder how many other blue ones there are laying around that we can get stuff from. Can donate a cherry. That was not the one. That's spring crops. Oh my gosh, that's still not the item I need. You're kidding. It's not the green thing. It was a crop. Yeah, it's not part of a foraging set. Okay, I thought it was a cherry, but I was wrong. There's still 3 items of spring that we can't find then. We're not gonna finish spring. That one kind of looks like a strawberry. And that looks like cabbage, and that looks like a waffle. A weird shaped waffle cone or waffle? Because if you look at the right angle, you can kind of see the lighter shade of the image and what it is. So I'm cheating. I'm going like this and looking. That's okay. So that's, you're not supposed to cheat like this, but I am. That's a cabbage. That's a strawberry. That I really don't know what it is even by looking at it. I don't know what it is even by looking at it. I don't know if I planted strawberries and cabbage, but we'll find out. It looks like it's yellow. It looks like, oh, that is bananas. I bet they're on the beach. I bet it's bananas or something. Oh, jeez. It's 8 p.m. Is it on the beach? Is it bananas? Those are not ready to pick yet. Trying to find out. Does this way take me to the beach? Let's shake it. There's no bananas. Gotta shake it. We're trying. Oh, that's a little bug we don't have. Okay, we can get rid of the caterpillar and catch him and see if he's one we need. He is. He is what I need. So it's a good thing we did that. And then the shell can just wait, because I don't think I have anything. Actually, I can get rid of this fiber stuff. And then so I shook the bananas. Can I? Shake, shake, shake. I wonder if it grows bananas at the last minute. I haven't seen any bananas. But that would be a fruit then. What is that bubble? There's a fish there. You guys that have played this game are probably laughing at me. In my attempts to figure out what this last item is. Cause I don't know. Maybe we went that way. Okay, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be anything I find in the mines either. Can't get through. There's like too many weeds in the way. Alright, we gotta use up some of this energy real quick. And then... because we need wood anyway. And then stone. And then trees. Before we have to go to sleep. Mad clicking. Alright, go to sleep. I'm too tired in the bed. That's not fair. That's not fair. It's gonna cost me time. And I was in the bed. Clicking all the buttons, just not clicking enough. Overslept. Okay. It's a mind. Oh, wrong chest. The wood gives us enough wood. Stone gives us enough stone. Oh, we have enough of everything. Yay. Alright, we're gonna go to the food one. Berries. Turn those in, right? Okay, we gotta turn in the water bug. Tulip seeds. Lilac. I wish there was just like a fast button just to like... Will it just store what you already... Oh, see, that's not what I want it to do. Anyway. And the book. Tulip seeds? Where do we want to put the seeds? I don't know. Okay. We'll put the seeds in here for now. They don't really make sense in here, but the watering can's in here. Okay, I think we have everything we need to drop off wherever the mill is, but I gotta figure out where the mill is. Does anybody know where the mill is? Because I don't. Oh, our plants are ready. And no, we did not plant cabbages. And that might be cabbages, but we definitely did not plant. I don't know if we planted cabbages and strawberries. I'm kind of sad now. Oh well. Kind of sad now, because I don't think we planted them. We messed up in year one. Mill. Is the mill by his house, like the guy with the chicken? Because he said he would teach us stuff afterwards, so I'm thinking it's him. And you're still not the butterfly I need either. I'm pretty sure I know what the one I need looks like. I just couldn't catch it the other day. Does he have the mill? No, he doesn't have a mill. See, that's what the cabbages look like. We did not plant cabbages or strawberries. I need some of each of those. Dude, can I buy them from you? I should have been better friends. He probably would have gave me some. Okay, so we're gonna look on the map real quick and see if we can figure out where this mill and all that is. Details in the donation box outside of the mill. Then bring outside the mill. How do I know where the mill is? I don't know. That's just the ruins. That's the museum. And the thing. There's the mill. It's a big windmill. Duh. Okay. Okay. So it's literally a windmill. Got it. Neubat. Hook catch. Is there anything I want to drop off in here? Chung chung. Stuff we picked up everywhere on the way. Go. And we will never know what the missing foraging item is. It looks like bananas, and I have not seen any bananas. Maybe I can identify it in one of these. It's that thing. It's a mushroom. Mushroom foraged in spring has a delightful nutty flavor and is commonly used for cooking. I'm buying it because I have not seen any of those. It's a mushroom. Oh my gosh, but now we know what we're looking for. You tell me if you saw any of those. I have not seen a single mushroom in this game. Oh, did we pass it? We did. We passed the mill. There's the box. Okay. Wood and stone. More wood and stone. See. And then large paving stones. Oh, okay, so we learned how to craft the stone that we're got in our inventory. 19 and 33, and what did they need? 10 and 10. Okay, so we got plenty. We can give some to Reus if we can find him. He might be right here. There he is. Cool. That was easy. I wonder if we can buy a cabbage and a thing. See, there's strawberry seeds we never bought and the cabbage seeds we never bought. Can I buy a cabbage and a strawberry? Come on. No! I just want to buy a cabbage and a strawberry. Maybe during the market when it comes back around. See, I should be able to buy one of these. They're right there. Why can't I buy them? They're right there on the shelf. Take it. I just want to buy one of each. Okay, now I gotta go talk to Adele. Play. Bring me 100. Okay. Okay. So do I just come see you? Are you up? No, you're not. You're at the bar, I think. I gotta go give her 1,000 gold too. Like, really? Hi. Oh, that's why I can make some flour. That was quick. Yeah, sure, we'll hear about it, but I'm pretty sure you just put stuff in it and it makes stuff. Animal feed. Deluxe. Okay. Henrietta and the rest animals are gonna be thrilled. Yay, we completed that. And that. I think we did all our things for the day. They're gone. Ooh. Oh, I said I could go talk to what's his name once it was complete, and he would help me out. I just gotta figure out where he's at. He might be over there with Henrietta. He is. He's home with Henrietta. Now I'm gonna like see those mushrooms everywhere or something. There he is. Saturday was a nice day. The market was really bustling. He's not gonna tell me until the next day. Pretty sure. He's not gonna tell me. Rude. Ding doo. Okay, well with that in mind, we are still looking for things and stuff. And that's a big fish. Why would there be a jumping point there? When you can't really do anything there. It makes it look like you could swim over, but you couldn't. Does he have bananas? It wasn't bananas, it was mushrooms. But yeah, we could look. Worn fishing rod. Recipes. Salmon sashimi. Oh, and you can buy little fishies. Oh, I need the anchovy for the thing. And the chub. So we're cheating and buying fish. I'm sure I'll earn all those recipes later. Maybe not, though. I bet I have to buy them. And they were pretty cheap. So let's go ahead and buy them. Oh, I don't think we fully bought the fish. We went in there, but we didn't complete the purchase. Buy. Okay. Aha's fishies. And I have recipes. See, I want to jump there. A blue grasshopper? Rhinoceros beetle. Looks like a blue grasshopper. What is this? Oh, that's just a path. And you're an interesting looking fella. Beach hopper. Dun, 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 dun. Ooh, another one of those mysterious flowers. I still feel like that's like the special thing or something, but it's not. It is a rare flower, though. gonna be something like that that's like only in one location on the entire map. Beach hopper. Because we found some very unique items. Oh, there's the butterfly! That's a different one too! That's a Luna moth. Oh, what are you? An ant. It's getting late, but I just wanted to go turn in the stuff. Now I can't, I need to head back to bed. I got all this stuff to turn in. Patch of clay stuff that I can't even pick up. Because I gotta carry around a dang ant. Let's see. Large paving stone. We'll keep the one stone. Just it'll remind me that I can make it. And then we have 2 of those now. And you guys gotta go to the museum. Except for you. Yeah. All of you. Oy. I didn't pass out this time. Okay, what day is this? Day 25. Not knowing what these mystery items are. Let's have tea. Woo! We get to go have tea. It's a pavilion! Pokemon. Ultra catch. I hope I catch it. I've been invited to tea. I'll just collect stuff on my way out. Dang, bugs everywhere. I'm gonna be like an expert bug catcher. I'm sure you don't get anything from that. I'm invited over for tea with Henrietta. Oh. Yes, Henrietta's having tea with you. Need eggs. Ranching tutorial. I buy animals from you. Chicken, brown chicken, spotted chicken. Adult animals will drop produce and can even be bred to unlock new colors at 2 hearts. Ooh! Aww. Make sure you feed and pet your animals once every day to keep them happy. No. Oh, we'll avoid bringing them out in bad weather. I wonder if they come out on their own. Well, I think that's about everything for you now. Don't be a stranger, Mona. Then Henrietta appreciates your company, so do I. He winked at me! What the heck? What the heck? He winked. You saw that, right? What the heck? A hot cup of black tea with a squeeze of lemon juice and a pinch of sugar. That's a lot of coin for tea. Can I buy crops from you? Farm supplies. Bows. Oh my god. Is that a cookie? Chicken treats that are shaped like hearts. Oh my gosh, that's cute. The seesaw for the chickies. That's so cute. Oh. Crown. Cute, cute, cute. I like it. Oh, caterpillar. There's a caterpillar in your garden, sir. I'll get it for you. There, he will not be eating your crops. I took care of him. Are there ruins down here? We'll go to the ruins real quick before we head up, because I'm sure I'll pick up something I gotta take up there. Oh, this is the beach. Never mind. But yeah, there might be something in the sand. That's a different bug. Oh, that's the praying mantis. We got that one earlier. Oh, another one. It's a snail. And regular shell. And then we're gonna come through here. Can we chop down palm trees? Does it give me anything different? Nothing really. Other than the loss of the palm tree. Can't hold the berries? We'll just pick all the things anyway, because then they'll repopulate before we come through next time. And we'll just pick them up again next time. Because I can't take them with, but they produce again. Aha. Nice. So, what did we get this time? Ooh. Pan-fried snapper. What is this? Unlock cosmetic. Beekeeper hat. Okay. And then I think we decided we could go back this way. Not really what I'm looking for. Where did we drop all those items out we picked up that we couldn't hold? They're all right here. There we go. And then you come over here. You go whoop. And then the cherries, I still can't hold. What can I get rid of? Dang. Crickets and grasshoppers and such. Okay. Now I can hold them. Now where is the ruins at? It's that way. Okay. So we gotta go up and then left. Gotta pick up all the things. And I probably can't. But we can pluck them out of the ground at least. And then is there anything we can give him? And we only have one of? This shell? Thank you. Okay. That helped. And then we're going down here to pluck up ruins and we don't have any pockets. Shane! I'm glad you survived. Congratulations. I'm glad you survived. Can I fix them? No, I can't fix the stairs yet. But congratulations! Thank you so much! Thank you for the 80 months. Holy cow. Thank you. Appreciate it. I am glad you survived your 3-day week. I can't imagine doing what you do, but we appreciate you. You know it, you know it. Thank you. And hi, 6. We are going to just like... Oh, there's a spot. What is it though? Oh, another one of those blocky things. And that is a doohickey. So I bet if you throw something, then you can pick up the other item while the other one's being thrown. Let's try it. Let's try it. Okay, so I'm standing next to this, and I want to throw that one. You can! You can totally switch which one you want for later. That's cool. Okay, so then I can do the same thing. That's cool. Okay, now I know. I can just throw stuff until I get the one I want. Can you throw a bug? What happens if you throw a bug? Ooh. Does the bug go away? Is it like releasing the bug? So if I throw the caterpillar... He still stays floating! He doesn't get to crawl away. Okay. He does not get to crawl away. Oh well, floating caterpillar. Be there later. Oh, there's a big thingy. And now that I know the big spots are important. Oh, did we make room for that one yet? I don't think we did. Can I throw another bug? I don't want to throw the snail. I think the snail might be worth something. No. No, because we already donated everything that could be donated. Yeah, let's throw another bug. You throw the bug and then get the food. Oh, we can eat the food. And then we can go pick up the bug. There we go. Oh, wrong thing. See, I've been hearing crazy things about all the damage we've had in our mountains from the storm. Yeah, I heard some crazy stuff. I think that's why Six was asking for everybody to check on their friends in the mountains and stuff. I feel like this game is just like endless things floating around. Because, that's apparently my new playstyle. Just make crap float around everywhere that when you run by it later you get mad because you pick it up. It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem. Chong. I feel like it's a good idea just to constantly collect wood and stuff because you're always gonna need it. You're always gonna need it. I don't think we can leave this way because I think this takes us to the beach again. No, this takes us home. We can leave this way. I gotta get all this. I feel like I'm always trying to clear away stuff and it just keeps remaking itself. Like it's never gonna be cleared out. Like, what does it look like when it's actually all gone? Okay, we're gonna sell the bugs. And everything else I think we're keeping. It's not much profit that way, but that's okay. Ooh, a wild girder appeared. Oh, catch. It's like animal food. So we need to move this to food, don't we? That's in the food too. That's in cooking too. That one's not. Crafting materials. Unless I put those in the other one. Because it's animal food, not human food. Oh, well, we'll just leave them there for now. Girder has been called! Nice. But yeah, I'm glad you're safe, Shane. It's 1 o'clock. What could we possibly still do at this time of night? Remove a couple rocks. Because it's never ending. And then watch our time so we don't pass out. And then go to sleep. Ah! Make it very close. Close call. Ta-da! We did a lot. There was no new quest yet or anything. Several are closed in the mountains till further notice. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we closed down for 2 days because it was pretty bad here. We had 30% of the county without power. I think everybody's pretty much back up now, though. You know, we got the beekeeper set. We actually have no quest. Is it because we did them all? Like, quickly? And we're done for spring? I was kind of surprised. I don't think I lost power from this storm, but my mom and stepdad were out of power for a day and a half. Yeah, my parents were out for 2 days. I didn't lose power either. But like up the road, these giant trees fell over. I don't know how I did lose power. Do we want to do one more day? Oh, I was going to check the calendar and then decide whether I was doing one more day or not. 26, 27, 28. There's nothing else going on. Is there a way to check your, like, community center stuff here? Kinda, not really. I've been quite the bug catcher. 20 bugs. Cooked 4 dishes. Grew 3 different crops. 4 different fish. That's not fish, that's a plant. Why is that under fish? I guess I didn't know where to put it. Oh, that's wood. Why is wood and fiber under fishing? Forageables. Furniture. Materials. Ranching. Milk. Oh, we didn't like actually buy a chicken or anything. Could we have done that? We totally could have bought a chicken. Well, after my troubles with the last storm, I'm really glad this one didn't give me any grief. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Exactly. You did have it bad last storm. Dang ants. Can't even leave my farm without an ant getting in the way. They look so small, they look like fleas or something. Bees. Can I give a bee to the chicken? Can I give a bee to Henrietta? A strangely neutral manner. So I can give different bugs to her and see how she reacts. There we go. We're gonna do that. Adoption chicken! Oh, I have to have a building first, it looks like. Fire supplies. How do I build a thingy? Daycare. You can put your animals in daycare? How do I adopt a chicken? It says 1,000 gold, but I think I have to have a coop. How do I get a coop? If I can't buy it here. Where do I get a coop from? Well, yeah. Let's see. Dear sir. It's the farm spirit. How do I get a coop? I missed this crucial part of the conversation. I'm just gonna go look around your bedroom. Just ignore me. Yeah. Aw, you got a chicken statue. Cute. Oh, there's a chest. It smells like grain, warm and sweet. We're just like snooping around his house. See. Oh, dang it. How do I buy the thing to Henrietta? Help me here. She likes me. Aww. She likes me. How do I, sir, how do I buy a farm building? I don't know. I guess I gotta expand my farm somehow. Maybe I buy it from the shop where I buy the seeds? I should have caught that grasshopper. I feel like the far corners of this farm, there's something that I haven't explored yet. Like, if I was to walk in a circle all the way around the outer edges of this farm, there's something I have missed, because every rare far corner has something unique that's not anywhere else on the farm. So I'm wondering what I've not discovered that's in a far corner yet. And like little things like this, I can hop across. And the trees always make me wonder if there's like secret paths that I haven't discovered yet. I had a bit of a surprise this morning. The secretary from the previous shift came up to me and asked me if I was into Magic the Gathering. I told him I never learned how to play, but I knew Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, interesting. Maybe it was a shirt or something you've wore before when you come in, but I'm guessing you're usually in scrubs. Maybe they were looking for players? Today's Friday. Everybody goes to the scene. At least I have berries on me. Well, we've already discovered this side of the farm, top left, the hidden things. But this one we have not. I mean, the ruins are here. He's never seen me in something other than scrubs. I think he just saw I was a guy on the right age and assumed. Maybe, unless he's looked at your Facebook. But then I don't know why he would have just thought to do that either. Maybe it's because I'm not high enough level in the mine to go up these stairs and stuff. I bet I have to increase my mining skills. Hello, he's never seen me in something other than scrubs. I think he just saw. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem a little odd though. Ancient Goblin. Did we have that one already? Yes. We did. So yeah, these areas seem like they have to be repaired in order for us to go. There's the random caterpillar. Dig spot. Wait. That almost looks like you can, you know, go up there. Can we go in the tent? No. A wild metadite. He's like, well, if you ever want to play, I'll bring some and we can play in the break room. Aw. Maybe he's new to the area and looking for friends. Who knows? Ancient stone lantern. Donate. I don't know. Oh, that's right, we were going to town. And the thing already started anyway. We were gonna check and see if you can buy stuff like that at the seed shop, see if they do upgrades there and such. And then we got distracted. It's definitely all just this kind of stuff. It's not upgrades. Dang it. How do I? Can I look at his calendar? No. Trout? I'll accept it, but I'm terrible at fishing. I couldn't even tell you where my fishing pole is. Don't even know. Alright, time to go in here. See what everybody's plotting. Give. I like that they're just constantly playing D&D. Sticker Fritz, my hero. Wait, does the die even go up to 25? You learned something after all. Interesting. Since I don't know who I'm working on yet, I'm just giving everybody berries. Just out of the kindness of my heart, I give everybody berries in the bar. Friendship levels. Except for the one guy who doesn't like them. Regular flesh, flesh. Ah, jeez. And okay, give you one. Sit with me, Mono. You're always so busy during the week. Look at his face. So blushing. Gather around, everyone, for once in a century occasion. This is a Witchvine Merlot, an 800-year-old vintage that I brought with me to Mistria. I'm scared. I don't want to drink it. first guy should go to Valen. Who's gonna be Stig? It's unbelievable. Transcendent. I love it. Oh no. There it goes, all over the floor. Oh geez, 800-year-old wine and she dropped it everywhere. You're right. Right, she. Did I give them one? Did I give you one? Yeah. Okay, can I talk? What can I buy here? Drinks, food, recipes. What is that? Espresso cups? They're so tiny! They're little espresso cups, okay. Oh, there's milk. If I need that for making something, I could get some milk and perhaps some recipes. It's expensive though, of course. I just need my own cow. But I don't know how to get a barn. I don't know how to get a barn for chickens or anything. Can I use the stove too? Let's see. Seems like I can't make anything right now. Maybe because of the things happening? Yeah, it won't let me cook right now. Oh, we forgot to go talk to the kids. Let's see what they're plotting this week. We're grounded. That's a good plan, guys. Was it? It was a plan, guys. It sure was. Mona, you probably want to hear what happened. We waited until just before dawn, and then we snuck into Mr. Balor's room. And he woke up right away. It's not my fault, he's a light sleeper. At least we found out Mr. Balor's secret. Yeah. His room is really messy. So messy. I'm messy, but I could learn from him. Mr. Balor. Oh boy. Is he even adult? If you ask me, he's the one who should be grounded. Okay, so Valor keeps a really messy room. Alright. And since we have been unable to find things... Oh, we got a health bar that's out of this world, so we need to work on reducing that health bar a little bit real quick. Yeah, I know it's getting late, but I want to make sure my health bar is at like 0. That can... Oh, I already have one of those. was like, it can wait, I'll pick it up later. Back to the farm. This works pretty quick at reducing your health. So we'll just chop down a bunch of trees. Hi. Time to sleep. Oi! I think that's it for me. Let's see. I hope you guys enjoyed Sunday's stream. I know it's still kind of early, but I did start really early today. I hope you guys are having a relaxing Sunday and get lots of rest before your Monday if you work. And if you don't work, like Shane is off on Monday, I hope you get lots of rest, Shane. And take care. But yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your help finding things and stuff. And we'll still look for that one mystery thing next time I get back. I got 2 days left of this season to find all the things and stuff that are left, and I really don't think I can do it because some of it's food that I didn't plant, so we'll be a little bit behind and have to finish on spring year 2. But that's okay because that's how it rolls, just like Stardew. Hugs. Yes. But I hope you guys are doing awesome and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful evening. Let's see, check all the things and stuff. And I will talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, all.